I was trying to remember. I was just give you a little introduction, and I was thinking like, was it 3, 4, 5? It was 5 years ago. Yeah.
Yes,
So I've
that was
known
a
you
while.
probably for about 5 years.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a
No,
little bit
it's been
longer.
awesome, and through Instagram, it's so cool how I've really connected and got to meet a lot of people through this platform, and
Yeah,
mostly through the community of magicians.
yeah. It's really bizarre how it's kind of evolved, you know? I mean, like when Instagram first started, it was like it was more like like a Tumblr kind of thing with photos.
Yeah, it
It's
was.
really just gotten out of hand. I mean, how it's changed and how it's evolved.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I know, like, I mean, Facebook and like Twitter, but I think Instagram has been more popular for a lot of people because it has kind of that, I don't know, I feel like it's more artistic. I mean, they leave you like a minute or you got a picture now, it's one of those two. And then, I don't know, for me, I like it. It's more simple, clean cut. There's not so much drama, as you go on
oh
other
yeah.
platforms.
No, I completely agree. I've almost sworn off certain things. Like I won't, you know, like I'll jump on Twitter every so often to just kind of read things, but I don't get involved with any of the talking or anything. It's not worth my time. I have too much stress as it is.
Yeah, well, I'm,
But no,
I'm glad we're able to use this platform to connect and use it wisely and just,
yeah,
share the wisdom and see how we're doing, checking in with one another. That's the one thing I've been enjoying with doing these live streams. It's just really kind of give me an opportunity just to reconnect, like with you. Like I haven't really chat with you in a long time, and just a lot of people I've been having on here. It's just cool to kind of strengthen that bond and kind of see how we're doing.
yeah,
And
totally
yeah, I'm really excited to get in this with you.
cool.
So as I said before, I know you're a professional magician, mind reader, conjurer of all the mystics, freaky stuff. I know you do some very experimental things, and that's one thing I wanted to get into as well,
Sure.
about like creating magic and how to be original. Because I think people
Oh,
have a hard time. I think every artist is like the hardest thing is to find yourself, how to be yourself, how to create your own art. And in the beginning, you may not know you have to go through a lot of path. You got to go through all these paths and to join on that one path, which is just being you.
yeah. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine yesterday. Actually, he was talking about he's part time. He's not really like I guess he's like semi-professional hobbyist. I know he's got a day job and he's got a family and whatnot. And he was talking to me, excuse me, about he wants to write a show and he's trying to find out who he is and all this stuff. And we were literally just talking about this yesterday, where it's kind of like um, it's hard to like when you have so much influence, let's say, on things of like through here and YouTube, and you see all these guys. It's kind of hard to kind of rein in your own voice without emulating others, whether it be purposely or subconsciously. So that's like a big thing, with me. Like, that was a big like watershed moment for me,
Yeah.
in my early 20s, kind of figuring out, and it took a really weird situation to do that, but figuring out kind of what I wanted to say with what I was doing, and finding a way to kind of deliver that message. Like with me, it's always about what stories do I want to tell, and then finding the material or building the material to supplement that, as opposed
Right.
to the other way around, which is most people, like, they see like trick, or they see something they want to do, and then it's like, what's the story I could tell to do this trick? I'm kind of
That's true.
bipolar like that.
I think I'm kind of more on that side too. I'll look at the trick like, oh, what story can I make? But I really like that having a story, and then what trick or effect do I want to put into that story? I think
Yeah,
that's a better approach and probably a better way of making it more original. Because
it
I
is.
think
It
when
is
you
for
look at
me.
a trick, you're kind of taking that effect, based from a book or a DVD, a video, and you're kind of performing it like they would in the beginning. Usually that's kind of a normal thing because they don't know how. In the beginning, you're like, well, what else do I do? How would I even come up with this? And
Yeah,
I think as a beginner, you really have to, play with everything and just see what sticks, and then it kind of comes to you.
yeah.
But I'm
No,
also really curious about like how you see like beginners in magic, and they're only like 2 or 3 years, and then they're already really original and creative, and they already got like some moves down, and that surprises me sometimes. I'm like, wow, they didn't, they put in some work. Obviously, they're really into it,
yeah,
but they're able to bring out this whole other natural beast in themselves.
yeah. Some people are just born for it. Some
Yeah,
people
I
are
guess
just.
so.
Some people are just. I go through phases where, like, I'm super creative, and then I'm just dead for months and weeks, or however long it is. Right now, you're catching me at a very weird kind of peak kind of thing with
Yeah.
creativity. Yeah, I had a good 2 or 3 week lead on this whole staying indoors thing, and I was kind of getting ready. I was gearing up. I was like, well, I've got all this stuff I've just built and all these things, these new pieces I've written, and now I'm just going to sit down and kind of, write the new show and do all this. And then we got saddled with this, and it was like, you know, the creative wheels kind of kept turning, and I was like, well, let me just do this one more little thing, and then I'll move back into writing. And I have a stack of things on my desk right now that I don't even know what to do with. I don't even know how to organize. If you have any good ideas for organizing, because I need it. But I have like a whole stack of things, and it's like I don't even know where to start anymore. And I literally have to force myself to stop like building because I can't stop myself. I've found so many good things lately that I've been playing with, and things that I've been trying to adapt, and things I've been working on for years that I'm finally just digging out. Um, and it's been really good. So I'm in a good place for talking
Yeah, that's
creativity right
good.
now, I think.
Keep it going. I mean, keep. Don't even worry about organizing. I think just letting it go and just go, like opening up all those doors.
Oh yeah.
And then there'll be a time where I'm sure you're gonna sit down like, okay, I need to organize this stuff. And
Oh
you're
no, I
gonna
mean
feel,
like
and you probably are. You're gonna be filtering out what do I need to keep, what do I need to let go, and just yeah, I would just ride that wave. It sounds good.
yeah. Well, I'm actually like literally talking about like
Yeah.
physically organizing because like I was working on something, and then somehow it got like at the bottom of this pile of stuff, and I was going through last night. I'm like, oh, I was working on this, wasn't I? So now I have to kind of move. So I need to have like a workbench for working, and then I need a whole different workbench for like stuff in progress because I've got too much on my plate right now, and it's
Yeah,
nice.
it's good. I mean, I
Um,
think for me, the way I organize things, I'll keep my like whatever my crappy thoughts or good thoughts all out in like a working experimental space, and then I'll have this stuff where like I want to keep and I want to get back to and organize, and then I have stuff that I'll have like a pile like should it stay or should I go? I'll go through like different cycles of kind of filtering. It's more like filtering for me rather than organizing, which I guess is
okay.
organizing. And it's really about kind of what sticks and what do I want to really let go, because I know
Right.
as any human we want to hold on to so many things, and even all
Of
of our
course.
creations, they're like our babies, but I think we should just let it go. We have so many thoughts and so many great creations, and maybe yeah, it's good to keep it, and you want to keep it because you're like, oh wait, well, I don't want to forget about it, so you want to organize it. And I think organizing it first with whatever category it fits in, whether it's like, okay, this is more of something. I think I really like Garrett Thomas. He organizes it with his tricks, talking about like for certain situations, saying like, oh, this is for a situation where someone just had a broken heart, or this is a situation they're financially struggling, and those type of tricks. You could use like gambling routines, or and I like that idea. So I've been
Yeah.
kind of leaning towards that, where I could kind of organize this, because in the beginning for me, I would always have like, these are my coin tricks and coin stuff, but it's like there's tons of stuff you can do with coins, and then cards, it's just like cards, but then there's tons of stuff to do with cards. But how do you label them as, I think, more better as emotions or emotional hooks or story, like the stories you want to tell with
Right.
that trick? And even the fact of taking like a trick and like creating, you could create a dozen different stories with that one trick. Like I one of my most common card tricks I do is the biddle trick. I
Oh yeah.
perform it like a dozen different times, and I just like to play with it. Just like a fun little trick that I could just put like almost any story to it based on the emotion. So I almost
Oh
like
yeah.
to take more of the stories too and organize them as well.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that actually. I literally just worked out a new version or a new thing with that myself actually.
Yeah,
A new
that's
application, let's say, a stranger application, but I don't know. I think it's got some merit to it. I've been reading a lot of everything really. I've been reading a lot of stuff lately, but just finding things and kind of like finding the gems on the bookshelf that I haven't touched in years. And like you just go through them and you just find that one little thing and you're like, oh, this got something, and then that leads to four other things, and that's why I'm still sitting here. Like I was hoping to get on the ball with the online stuff weeks ago, and every day I'm like, I should do something. I should, I have like four different videos that I have to finish editing and things, and I'm super
yeah,
self-conscious. So I'm trying to like, force myself. I'm hoping saying this to you will force me to
yeah.
actually put some of it out. But
Do it. I love your work. I love your post you put out. It's you
oh,
kind
thank
of
you.
very poetic. You put out like a very interesting picture relating to like a quote, and you have like a theme. It's very consistent.
I try. I
And
try to. I try to
yeah,
use some
for me,
every.
I know a trouble like I gotta make room on my phone and my computer. Like that's the biggest part of organization that I'm just like, because it's just a pain in the ass to just organize my computer. Like I have so much crap, and then I got to go through this hard drive and this hard drive. Then I almost forget about all the stuff I have. And in a way, like for me, what helps is that I just will, maybe just get a new hard drive and just put it all on a hard drive. Don't even look at it. And then when it comes to me, I'll just remember, I'm like, oh yeah, I think it's on my hard drive. Then I'll go dig for it. Maybe I'll do a little more organizing, because when I think of it as a whole to like organize everything, it's just like, I don't even want to do it,
Yeah,
It's
no.
just like, okay, no. So
I,
yeah, I
I
think like one step at a time is always the
yeah.
best way to go, right?
I tried that exact method you just talked about. Now I have like I have a folder that's like new stuff for 2020, and then there's like new stuff for 2019. And if you go on the hard drive, it's like new stuff back to like 2013, I guess you want to
Yeah.
say. So I have like 7 years of organizing to do, like literally.
Right?
So
No,
I've
I
just I've
know.
just given
That's
up.
kind of how I feel too. It's like 10 years of crap. I'm like, what am I gonna do with it?
Yeah,
Like, and that's the other wild thing in this generation is that we have so much stuff. Like, we really like with the technology. I mean, the technology, we could keep all these pictures, keep all these documents, keep all this and that, and then we almost like forget we're like the most documented species out there.
oh God, it's insane. It's weird to think like kids now, like, and I'm just such an old man saying this, but it's weird to think there's like, there's kids that like just they will never understand a world that's not plugged in.
Right?
And
I know.
it's a strange thing to me.
It is crazy.
But
It's crazy to see. I've been, actually hanging out with family and with my niece, and just seeing how she's already got it down with like the iPad. And she's only like 3. She knows
oh
everything.
yeah,
Just hooked. And it's interesting how quick they pick it up too. And yeah, I can't wait to see what it's going to be like in 10 years. Like, I mean, we're kind of seeing that advancement like 10 years ago when like all these smartphones came out, and like nowadays everyone has a smartphone. So now we're kind of in the middle of that transition. And I think it's a beautiful tool, but also it seems like it's got to be in moderation. You got to learn how to use it wisely. I think we could get
yeah,
so lost. We could go down the rabbit hole and just scroll, or whatever, YouTube, this and
yeah.
that. And it's
And
fun.
she's
I mean,
like,
I don't watch TV. Like, my phone is basically my entertainment, or I put on it. I plug it through my TV and watch stuff through there, and it's much like YouTube.
yeah. I hate to say that I've become that guy. Like I finally just canceled my cable last week. I guess last 2 weeks ago I canceled my cable, and I'm going through like I'm like in Hulu and Netflix. It's
Right,
weird
right.
because I haven't. I used to be in when I was out of college. I used to be in radio for a short time, and
Oh, cool.
I'd gotten a TiVo back then, and
Yeah.
I've had like TiVos this whole time, and I canceled that a couple months ago. I hadn't used it or watched it or even gone to live TV in over a year. I was like, I think it's finally time to do it, and I just want the time anyway, so it's fine. And honestly, there's nothing on TV that like everything that I want to watch is on like HBO or
Right.
Netflix or like as long as like Ozark stays on Netflix, I'll be all right. But if it ever goes to pay TV, I'm done. Like I can't even watch Better Call Saul anymore because they it's like I'm not gonna pay for cable then pay for the app. It's stupid, such a
Right.
chintzer,
I know
but
it's a lot to do. I mean,
yeah.
I know right now is a good time. I mean, I've been watching Netflix and Hulu and whatever I can. It's just it's an interesting time we're living in right now. How are you coping in this time? What are you doing to stay busy?
Work, lots of work. Like and it's weird. I'll go out for coffee in the morning and then I'll come back like, well, I'll put a couple hours in. I'll do this. Been, working on my website and trying to get, my visibility back up because it was a weird year. I think like I lost a lot of steam as far as visibility and so I wasn't putting out a lot of content and things like that. I just kind of fell behind. So really, it's been trying to figure out what the next step is and kind of get my everything back up. I guess I don't know what you could say.
Yeah,
But yeah, just been
I feel the same way. I
work.
kind of took a break too. Like 2019, I wasn't very active as much as I used to be, and it was kind of nice. But then like I'm kind of in that same mindset. Like, okay, now I gotta get back in it. And like, I mean,
Yeah,
I know I'm mostly like a street magician, and I like to go to that, so I don't really need to. But now I'm like, well, I should, and I do need to if I want to be, more professional.
yeah,
And so that's always been in the back of my mind. So I'm like, all right, this is the time to do that and
yeah.
really organize. I'm kind of in the same boat with you. Like, I really got to organize because I have so much footage and so much just material that I got to just do something with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like I said, it's weird because it used to be like putting up a video on Instagram or on YouTube was like a way to build the brand, and I kind of feel like, and I think it's probably why I had such a rough year with it because I was getting really disheartened because like the way the algorithms were going and affecting my views and whatnot, and all my like posts that would get usually over 100 likes were now getting like 10 or 20 things like that, And I think it was just really starting to bum me out because I feel like like if you're not at a certain level of like hundreds of thousands of followers, or you're not bringing in money to, to like an influencer kind of level, then there's really no
Yeah.
place for you anymore, which is kind of weird because I feel like these platforms were kind of built for people like you and I who don't have the backing of, money or corporate or things like, what I mean? Like it feel
Yeah.
like I feel like, so like with Kickstarter, right? Like there's something that was created for people like us who don't have certain benefits, but then you see established artists and filmmakers all of a sudden they're putting out their products through Kickstarter. And
Yeah.
and it's like, who's going to give money? I mean, no, I mean, I would do it myself, but I mean, who's going to give money to someone like me when they could give money to, like, like a Tom Hanks or a bigger company? You see what I'm saying? So I
Yeah,
think
I
I
see
think
what you're
that was kind
saying.
of starting to get to me.
And I think I used to have that idea too, but I don't think that should ever, be the benefit
No,
of the
no,
doubt.
no.
Just like, just always do it anyways. I mean, because I think about it
Of
too. I used to
course.
be like kind of caught in the game and be like, because Instagram's algorithm like totally changed, and I used to be more connected with people. Now
Yeah.
I barely get any likes or views, and it's like, all right, well, whatever. But then, and I kind of had that mindset. I'm like, well, what am I doing this for? So that's kind of one of the reasons why I took a break too, because I felt like, well, I feel like I'm putting a lot too much time for this
Yeah.
stuff that's not even getting any, reaction. So eventually, though, I kind of turned it, and I just like, well, no, I should just do it because I originally do this for myself. And
Yeah.
it is also your resume nowadays. I mean, you meet someone like, here, follow me on Instagram, check it out. You can see what I got going on. But last year, I kind of kept it more loose, and then I kind of wanted to be just myself. I didn't want to take it so seriously. I'm like, I'm just put out whatever I like to do, and not like, because I felt like kind of trapped. Like, oh, I should take it so seriously, but no one else is taking me seriously. So I'm like, well, then I'm not going to take it so seriously. I'm just going to do my thing and see how it
Yeah.
unrolls. And, you're going to have other platforms that you're going to want, like your website. Or if you choose to have, like, I know some magicians that have, like, secondary, like, screen names for Instagram or Facebook. So that's, like, their page that they only do the magic.
Yeah.
And the other one's more personal. And for me, I used to do that. But it's just, that's another work. Now I got to have all these pages I got to go log into. And it's just like, no, I'd rather have just be one thing and just let it
Just
go.
let it be easier. Yeah. Yeah, that's the kind of thing too. I was gonna say I was getting disheartened, and then I just was kind of like, why? Why does it matter? Uh, I've never been that guy anyway to kind of, I'm like, you've seen the stuff I do, so I'm not really concerned with being, commercial, or I'm saying, hey, that sounds so stupid. But you know what I'm saying though, right? Like, I'm not
Yeah,
trying to
no,
please
I
anybody.
definitely do.
I've kind of always been like, I'll put out the stuff I want to put out and do the stuff I want to do, and people who come to my show, they know what they're getting into, and if they don't, they're usually surprised. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty upfront with what I do. I don't think I pull any punches as far as um, my content versus what you see live. So I'm hoping anyway.
Well, that's good, man. That's good. Uh, so yeah, I know we talked about a little about creating and experimenting. I think that's part of the creative process. And I really liked. I talked with Brett yesterday, Brett Allen or Brett Pendlebury is what he goes by too.
Whatever his name
Uh,
is today, right?
and he got me really interested. Actually, we had a great talk about hypnotism, and but before we were getting into like mentalism and saying how that's a perfect route to go into like or hypnosis as well. And he was talking more a lot about like pseudo hypnotic techniques, and I really wanted to dive back more into mentalism. I think like after this, quarantine, I think it's gonna be a different time for everything, of course. But I think mentalism is gonna have more a big comeback. Like that's my opinion. I've always asked other people like, what do you think's gonna how is magic or entertainment gonna change after all this? Once we're back out on the streets, kind of embracing the world again.
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah, what's your prediction?
Uh, I don't know. The color yellow. I don't know. I mean, there's like the common sense answer, and then there's the answer that I would give as me. The common sense answer would be, everyone's gonna be treading kind of lightly in things. I think personally, though, I don't know, and maybe it's just my age or just my cynicism. I think like I'm not saying I think we should just. I think the minute they say everything, we should just go back to being normal. Then we just go back to being normal. because we can't live like this. So I'm not someone. I'm not gonna. On one side, I'm not gonna invade someone's space. Like who doesn't want to be, people don't be. That's fine. I understand that. But I'm not gonna sit back and be like, well, I can't do this, or I can't show somebody off somebody a card, or I can't bend someone's coin, or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? I think it's a little overblown, and even if it isn't, I just don't want to live in the paranoia. That's the thing is like the paranoia is going to kill me faster than anything else is going to kill me.
Right.
Um, that's the thing. So I think people are going to be going out of their way to kind of say, like, hey, here's some material that I don't have to come near you, and it's still going to be amazing. I think while
Yeah,
it's
I
I
feel like
think
this is gonna be a big comeback too for parlor type magic as well,
yeah,
like more, and also kind of more like look at me type magic, because I know people are gonna be a little weird.
yeah,
But yeah, I think it's gonna be 50-50 with that. Like I'm sure people are like, oh, I can't wait to go out and just hug people again, But then there's gonna be those
yeah,
people that are gonna be like, nope,
yeah. I mean,
stay away.
the fact of the matter is we're just going to have to go back to living life because you can't be like unless everyone starts glowing like literally glowing red if they're a carrier or they're asymptomatic or things like that.
Right.
You just can't. Like it's just a matter of humanism at this point. Like there's a fine line between common sense and living smart, right? So common sensually speaking, like we all know that we know what the risks are versus what the like statistically, I guess, where we're hearing things are. So, I mean, again, I feel like there's going to be this one side where everyone's going to be kind of pushing this like no touch magic thing, whereas there's going to be a side where it's just like, okay, we're done. We can go back to living like normal human beings again. Because I mean, and I don't want to sound like all conspiratorial, and that's the last thing I want to do, but we just can't as a people society we just can't do that. Like I don't think like shaking hands is necessarily the most hygienic thing, but I think to sit there and be like, well, it's gross, so why do it at all? And then like why do we hug, why do we kiss, why do we do anything, right? Like why do we have any kind of social contact whatsoever and just not live in bubbles the rest of our lives, right? We can't do that.
Yeah.
So as far I mean, not to say that I haven't thought of a multitude of ways to go out right now and do magic for people, and I have been, and it's been nice, but with keeping the social distance
Yeah.
and whatnot, just for my own sanity, there's ways to do that, but while we're in need. But I think when this is done, we just got to be done with it. We just got to get back to living normal lives because we can't, you know,
I know.
it's just the way it's got to be.
It's making people to the boiling point. I see that in my own hometown in San Clemente, California, and I follow like on Facebook like San Clemente Life, and I'm just like, yesterday I was really surprised because there's people like going crazy on it, like, and people are
Yeah.
protesting like on Easter, and I guess it's all around the country, like we want to be free, give me liberty, give me death, and everyone's waving around American flags. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of crazy. It really surprised me, but it didn't surprise me later on after I thought about it. But I'm like, dang, yeah, I guess, yeah, people are definitely obviously hurting, and financially, and also mentally, because they just haven't had much time to themselves. Because this is also a time to really reflect. Everyone's just stuck at home with themselves or their family, so they're going mental in that aspect.
Yeah.
So I think it is definitely a big transformation, a big shift in like the whole world. And
Yeah.
yeah, things are gonna be different, but I know it will go back to normal. I think this is just really more of a test to whatever is gonna happen after all this. Which I don't know, because
Yeah.
I was
You gotta wonder.
trying to
You
wave
gotta
back.
wonder. Oh, sorry. You gotta wonder. I mean, how much is because you're getting different things every day, and then the numbers. Everything's wildly either blown out of proportion or like really different. So I think it's just up to people, and it's up to I just try to make my own best judgment. I haven't really, and this is probably going to make me sound really bad or whatever, but I've refused to go anywhere in public where I have to put the mask on yet because I just don't want to do it. I just think I I don't put myself in a position where I need to worry about it so much, but I also
Right.
think that like I don't want to talk politics. I think that I'm not ready to make that decision about the level of living I want to do just yet. You know what I mean? Like if they tell me if the news comes on tomorrow and says, "Look, if you leave your house without a mask on, we will burn you alive," I'll probably put it on. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. Right.
But I don't want to just accept that now. This is just how we're gonna live
Yeah, always be
because it
skeptical. And
can't
I
be.
think
It's
that's what's cool right
ridiculous.
now. There's a lot of people now more skeptical than ever, which I like because not many people are very skeptical, and
Yeah.
to see, and kind of that's what I was realizing yesterday, seeing all these people that are really, patriotic and they love their country and this and that, and they're like all about this and that. But now they're all anti-government, and it's just like, well, no, so they're really showing their skeptical part of themselves, which I've never seen. So that was that surprising part on my side. I'm like, well, okay, now yeah, people are like waking up in different ways or
Yeah,
freaking out in
it's all.
different ways.
Yeah, it's all just, it's just everything. I don't know, but I don't know. Anyway, card tricks now.
Yeah, card tricks. That's
So,
good.
yeah, right.
What what sort of card magic do you like to do personally?
I mean, yes, I mean, I have my standards that I go with, the things that I like will open up with. I don't do a lot of flashy stuff. I don't do any of the
The
flourishy. I'm
flourish.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
I came 20 years too late for that stuff. I don't have the dexterity for that. Even if I did, I'm like, it's
Right.
not
Yeah.
my
I
thing.
don't. I honestly don't perform any flourishing stuff either. Like I have one little routine that I do with the flourishing, but like for me, you see me like I'll just be playing around with it. But when I'm performing, like I'm never that guy gonna be like doing that stuff
Yeah,
because
like if
I'm my persona isn't like that. I'm kind of more like, hey, what's up, guys? I gotta take a card. It's not like, yeah, check
yeah,
this out, you know?
I'm the same way. Like for me, like I have there's things I can do. Like I do like the what's that like the Bill Malone. I can't even understand do it, but the Bill Malone like triple cut thing that he taught on one of the DVDs.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I do that just because when I was learning it, it was contextually in line with what I was doing. But I think the way that I am on stage, like I'll do that to practice around, play around with it. But on stage, if I get up there and I was like, you know, people who know me would look at me and be like, "What are you doing?" I did a show actually back in November, and I've been experimenting with a linking ring routine that I'd had in my head for a
Okay.
couple of years. And if anyone who knows me knows I do not like the linking rings, at least I didn't anyway.
Yeah.
And then
Okay. I didn't know that.
oh yeah, I hate it. I think it's because maybe it's just cynicism, but I always thought it was like, it's the dumb. It's like literally the dumb. Like of all the tricks
Is
that
there a reason why, or are you just kind of one of those things like, just not me?
it was just always one of those things. It was like they go together, they come apart. That's the trick. But because magicians need to like whip their stuff out and drop it on the floor for you, um, you got to do it like 85,000 times. So for me, it was like it's linked, it's off. That's the trick. So all of a sudden, like one day, it was just had this revelation of you know why not just talk about how much I hate this trick and do the trick. And then the whole joke of it was going to be at the end, I kind of look like a jerk after doing all these really crazy things, and then kind of having a moment, and then just punchline. Um, but I experimented with it at a show back in November, and all my friends who were there just their jaw, like all the cameras came out. They're all sending pictures, like, look at this idiot's doing. And it was funny, and it's good to do that kind of thing. But like for me, like it's just it has to fit in a certain way. And I think like in that context of sarcasm, and again, like the whole joke of the joke, but the whole punchline of the piece is that the rings themselves end up being the hero, and I look like a jerk, and that's how I
Yeah,
prefer it to be anyway. And
I've
that's
heard stories like that. Really, honestly, like where someone, whether it's an actor or a magician or musician, and they'll do something that they don't like. Like I hate this trick, or I hate doing that, and then they perform it, and they're like, I'm just doing it for fun, just to like screw off, and then they get a crazy reaction because they almost put that kind of character, like what you're saying, like, well, this is me. I really don't like this trick, but I'm doing it, and
yeah,
then almost create something better. And like I've heard, I forget who it was. Some other magician was doing something similar to a certain trick, and it just made it like one of the best tricks. And now he has to always do it. And he's like, man, I hate this trick. Now I do it all the time, and now I've learned to love it. And I think that's kind of an
yeah.
interesting approach too, to the kind of like, why not try loving something you hate and see
Oh
where
well,
it goes?
yeah.
You know?
Of all the tricks I hate, it's the one I love the most. Like and actually, what actually spurred me to kind of get it back or kind of moving along was
That's like me
I
for the
had
cups and balls. Like I used to hate it honestly in the beginning. Now I love it.
yeah
It's just like everyone does this trick. I don't really care
yeah.
for it. Now
Well,
I
it
have
is.
way deeper appreciation.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to what we were saying before. So when you find the story you want to tell, um, everything kind of else falls into place. Like for me, it was I had this idea about the general backbone of the piece, and then kind of put it aside for a while and just kind of got in about it. And then last summer, I hung out with Jared Koff when he was up here for his lecture, and he had done his routine that was based on Bob White's routine, and it just coincidentally was one of those things I'd heard about Bob White's routine and was kind of starting to learn the building blocks of it, which is basically just the Vernon routine, but just
Right.
less Like that was good. What Bob was good at was he took the routine and just stripped all the junk out of it and kept all the
Yeah,
good
really,
stuff.
really straightforward.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
where I learned it too.
Yeah, it's a great routine. And I was talking to Jared after the lecture, and I was, he had done his linking room routine. I was like, it's funny that the way you approach it, because I'd had this similar approach, and I told him the whole thing. I was like, yeah, I kind of put it aside, and he literally grabbed me by the jacket, and he's like, Mike, go home and do the trick. And I was like, oh, okay. And that was just the thing. And I went and bought a set of rings 2 days later, and it was just like a cheap set that was used or something. And I was like, I'll just practice and see where it goes. And it was one of those things where weeks and weeks later, after going through the moves and doing this, I legitimately started to love the piece. And it's weird, it's very strange. It's like you have an ex-girlfriend who you're just like, I kind of hated her, and then you realize like, I kind of still love her too. So
Yeah, right.
it's a weird double-edged sword, and that's why I just said never say never. I've been looking at things the past year that I thought I would never look into. Um,
Yeah,
that just again because I'm going through phases like for like a year or two or maybe even like 2 or 3 years, I got really pegged into this whole mentalism thing, and I was getting booked to do mentalism, and I just kind of let it happen. But I mean, I've always been a sleight of hand guy, and I've always been a stage guy and my weirdness guy, and I've always been the thing where like when I started putting mentalism in the show, it was just because, in my opinion, if I'm a guy doing magic, like I look at myself, I'm a magician. That's the catch-all, right? So whether it's doing magic with cards or with a billet or with a knife, those are just the tools, right? So like to me, doing ambitious card, let's say, is no different than bending a fork, right? Because it's the tools are inconsequential to what the overall job is, right?
right.
So for me, like I said, it's a catch-all phrase. So if I want to do something where I'm revealing information, or I'm doing something where a card ends up in the pocket or under the watch or only like that, that's it's just whatever happens. But when the mentalism started creeping into the show, all of a sudden it was like, oh, this guy does mentalism, and I kind of, like I said, I kind of let myself fall into it. But I really put a genuine effort to kind of bring the show back to what it was, which was a mix of traditional magic and sideshow and mind reading and kind of clumping it together. Because again, like I said, if the story I want to tell is best told through like pure magic versus something mental, then
Right.
I can't sacrifice one for the other because somebody said that a mind reader can't do card tricks or a sleight of hand guy can't do mind reading, right? If you
Right.
can do magic, like a genie doesn't pop out of a bottle and is like, I can only grant wishes that are, that have to do with love, or I can only grant wishes that have to do with money. It's like it's whatever you want, right? And if you're magic, you shouldn't have to dig into your pocket to get something to come out and do magic, right? If I'm sitting at a table with a bunch of people and someone says do magic, I pick up the fork and I bend the fork, right? And then I can go to the pocket and then I can bring out and then we can start the work, right?
Yeah.
We're getting
So
into
that's
philosophy,
kind of like
sorry.
kind of working in your environment and just being really prepared too, like and
Yeah.
being that you are magic, you are the magician, and even just saying a story without even showing anything physically uh,
Oh yeah.
is definitely magic too. And I think people kind of take that for granted. One of my favorite magicians is Cellini, and Cellini was a great king of the streets, street magician, student of Slidini, and he has a lot of great stories, and that's really
Yeah.
what makes him so cool. Because people want to hear all these cool stories, and that's like the old wizard, listening to Gandalf, smoking his pipe. He's not even doing magic, but this guy's magic.
Yeah.
And I really like that like take. And for me, I always kind of go. I'm always myself before I pull out the magic. I always just try to sit down, see what everyone's about, and of course, I'll introduce myself as a magician. And usually, I let them kind of pick at me in a way, but I'm already ready for something, or I try
Of
to look
course.
around. Like you said, I like that idea. Definitely, like when there's a fork out there, or you have stuff already set up, you're gonna get to. It's
Yeah.
like you're way ahead of the game, sort of thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll go out and I'll be prepared for nine things and do one thing, because you just never know. Like I'll go out, I'll prep certain things and just never do it. But in the moment, you know how it is. It's impromptu, kind of, right?
Right.
Like it looks
Kind of, yeah.
impromptu to everybody else,
Like whatever's in
It's
my wallet.
but
It's impromptu, but it's set up in my wallet.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. Like like that's the Millennium approach, which I subscribe to, which is, and it's taught me patience over the years. I'm not going to say that there's, let's say corner of a torn card in my dentist's lighting fixture that's been sitting there for 8 or 9 months now, um, because it teaches you to be patient, and
Yeah.
the payoff is so much better, because I've seen people, they rush, because they panic, that was me too, like when I
Yeah, you
started
just
working
want to
with
get
like
it over
card.
with, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because like with something like, let's say, the card to watch thing. At first, you really have to train yourself to not panic, because at first you want to just jump right out and do the revelation because you're afraid, and you
Right.
realize like you have to kind of stop yourself and slow yourself down and be like, okay, um, you know, uh, they don't know what's coming. And even if they do, we learn to cover those kind of things.
Yeah, I think that's
Um,
good, and it's good to also just be so patient. Like maybe you don't even get to do it. I think I find
right.
myself a lot in those situations where I'm like anticipating it, like I have it all set up, and I'm just waiting for the moment, and it just doesn't happen, and I get kind of like, man. And that's the part where I kind of get upset almost because I'm like, I could have made the opportunity happen, but I was just waiting for the opportunity to happen.
Yeah.
But like, and that's an
Yeah.
interesting approach too. And I think I try to like make it happen so I feel like I don't have to wait till like next week to come back to that restaurant or wherever that setup is, or
Yeah.
maybe there's something set up on you even. Like that's a common thing too. Like, for me, I'll be set up with some sort of effect that I have in my pockets, and I'm just so ready. Or maybe I load something in someone else's pockets and I just don't get to it. And when I don't get to it, I'm like, oh, I need to do it. I need to make it happen somehow. But then I miss
Oh
that
yeah.
window.
Yeah. Yeah. Get those, because it is, the universe gives that back to you at some point. I had a situation like that where I'd preloaded
I think
something
so.
and I forgot about it. And like a week or two later, I ran to the guy at the pub, and he was wearing the same jacket. And I was
No
like,
way.
if he doesn't have it, I have an out, and I had an out, and I didn't need the out, and it was, I mean, it was, I mean, how it is. You have to milk it, and on the outside you have to be like, yep, that's the trick, and you walk away. But inside you're like, oh my God, like Jesus Christ, like that thing, and you have to like hold that inside because you don't want to let the people know
Right,
that you're
right.
really happy that it all worked out the way it was supposed to work out.
Oh, isn't that a weird part too, where you're just like, yes, at the end, but you got to be like kind of cool about it.
Yeah, that's the best part about our job. There's a lot of guys that just have, I don't say that, but there's people who just have lost sight of that. Um, I know it sounds magnanimous, but I still do magic because I love it. It's given so much to me
Right.
over the years, and I'm just trying to do my best to give back to it. But it's just so rewarding for me. It's hard for me sometimes to hold a straight face because I want to be in the moment. I want to, be excited with people. But it's the gift of being able to give someone that experience. Because sometimes you just never know when you're going to hit the right chord, you hit the person on the right day, or you say the right thing, or you do the right thing.
Yeah, never
Um,
take it for granted. I know for sure.
oh God, no, God, no.
And if you ever do,
So
I think you get quickly whipped back into it. You're like, man, I almost forget. No one gets to see this really. Like not many
yeah,
people get it at all. And
yeah,
I'm surprised because I'm so I mean, once we're in the magic world, we're just like it's just magic everywhere. So we think it's like everyone's world, but that's just our personal reality. And no
yeah.
one else knows anything about that. People don't even really even see playing cards that often. I mean, they do, but they don't. They think of not magic. They think mostly playing cards, like gambling, or
Yeah.
that 21 card trick.
And yeah,
And that's a good advantage too. Like when people are like, oh yeah, I've seen card tricks, blah blah blah, and they're like, oh yeah, I know magic too, and they only know there's like two, three tricks they see when they were kids, and
oh
then you
yeah.
show them something that's real magic with cards. They're like, I have no idea about these card tricks at all. This is like
Yeah.
magic, and I
Well, how
really
many
like
times?
that too.
Yeah, how many times have you had this? Here, take a card. Oh, I've seen this one already.
So, like all the time,
Do you
yeah.
know how many things start like this? Like it's like, but like the same person would
So
go
what do you
read
say
a.
when someone says that? I mean, I have a saying I usually say.
I just say just watch it again then, or I'll do something. I don't know. It's been a while since that's happened. I'll just be like a jerk and be like, no, you haven't. Just shut up. I just want you to do
Yeah.
a thing.
Typically for me, it's
Uh,
always a kid that will tell me that. Oh, I've seen this trick before. Oh yeah, I know how this goes. And
but
I'm
you know
like,
what?
no. I usually just stop and like, "No, have you ever seen me before? No, then you've never seen this before.
Oh yeah,
Like,
no. I had a situation. Because like I don't do a lot, I don't do any kids parties. But I do like I had a book that used to see me a lot of bar mitzvah work, and it doesn't. I mean, it made me laugh. It made some other people laugh, but I was doing some stuff for this kid. I was doing something, and this kid comes over and he's like, "I know that trick. I saw it on YouTube." I was, here we go. And then he pulls deck of cards out. I'm sitting there working, and he starts like trying to do the trick for someone,
oh
and I
no.
didn't even think twice. I was like, I didn't even think, and it was like. plink, and just knocked the cards go flying, and he went like running after him. I was like, you can make me look stupid later, but I'm being paid to look stupid now, so just let me do my thing.
Right.
Yeah, kids.
I know, the kids are tough.
Yeah.
We
Although
had
I
a
will.
couple comments. I wanted to read these. What do you guys say?
Oh, sure.
I have some Altoids here, impromptu. Yeah, that could be impromptu, like what Daniel
That,
Garcia, you know?
yeah, that was distracting me actually because the minute when I read that on the screen, I was trying to laugh because I'm reminded of all those guys. Like, did anybody lose a pocket knife?
Right. And T-Card says, I personally don't hold back my own reactions. I think if the audience sees you're having a good time, they're gonna have a good time. Yeah, that's true. You want to ride the roller coaster with them, you know?
Of course. Yeah, of course. I think though there's you got to kind of know. I think I just didn't explain this well enough, but I think there's there's a difference between, let's say, like showing your joy and then showing your outwards, like when those little miracles happen. Like, so I'll give you a quick story. I was at a bar mitzvah gig years ago,
Yeah.
and I was showing this like little group some stuff, and this woman who I could tell she wasn't into it, but she's like, who you should show magic to? That's my mom over there. Go, she loves magic. Go over. And I was like totally green, so I'd like go running over, I was like, here, your daughter said to pick a card. And she probably hated magic more than her daughter did,
Ooh,
And so I was trying to say she wasn't impressed. I had done a gig the night before, and I had a couple of the blue cards left in my pocket, but I was working with a red deck. So I just reached into my pocket and pulled out a card, and I was like, here. And I put it down. I said, name any card you want. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, just name any card. And she said, Queen of Diamonds or Queen of Spades, whatever it was. And my thought was going to be, I was going to reach down, turn it over, have it be, the two of hearts, and be like, and just walk away. And when I turned it over, it was the Queen of Spades, and she lost her mind. Everyone lost their mind. And I literally had to walk away. I'm like, well, that's it. Have a good night. And I walked away. But inside my head, I'm screaming, but you can't, that's what I'm talking about. That's the thing.
Right, how to be cool, not over dramatic.
Yeah. You can't expose a miracle. There's a difference between enjoying a miracle and exposing a miracle. You have to act like that's what's supposed to happen. It happens every time I do this, even though I had never done it before. I had no intention of it working. And the universe, that's the universe is, the universe gives those things back to you, So when I smack the cards out of the kids' hands, the universe gives that back to me.
Right. No, I think I have something like that too happen before, and also I've had the moment where I do react and I am kind of excited, and maybe I'll express that to someone else, like
well,
that,
thank you earnestly.
Pure luck, I wasn't planning on doing that, but in the way I'll kind of express how lucky I was in a way. But it's better to be have your balance between just having fun with them and enjoying it, and not seeming yeah, I got away with something, I got away with murder, yes, or something shit like that.
Yeah. I getting back, someone just said here, I think it was Ernest here.
Yeah, what's up, Ernest? I know
he thinks
the Eve shirt. We are.
You can mention that too. Going back to what he said here about enjoying the show as much as they are. I'm here to tell you, I love performing. It doesn't matter. That's the joy I get out of life, is doing my show and seeing these little things that I create come to life. So I make no bones about it. I enjoy doing my show for myself as much as I love doing it for people, because it's like when you have these little babies and you raise them into things and they become these living, breathing things. These little things you draw on paper on a napkin in the middle of the night, you sketch on your phone, and all of a sudden here it is, and it's living and breathing, and it's there's no greater reward for me for that than that.
Yeah, no, it's fun. I mean, so those happy little accidents or miracles too are one of those great things that happen in magic. And just when you, that thing of just putting a card down, name a card, and you have 1 out of 52 chance, and you could even just be a gag, or it's that miracle, they just call it out.
Yeah.
Let's try it right now. What is it? I just have a card. What do you think?
6 of diamonds.
Dang, it was the Queen of Spades.
Oh, damn it! That would have been awesome.
Right.
We gotta practice our coding system.
Yeah. Oh man, this is weird. So how do you like to infuse the sideshow into the magic? Because when I got into magic, I got really into the mentalism and sideshow, and then I kind of took a break and I became more variety magic. But my heart, I love sideshow mentalism.
Yeah. It's all, I enjoy doing it. It's just, it's the context,
Yeah.
Everything that the stuff that I do on my show, the needles following
story.
Yeah. It's not just there for shock value, and believe me, I got plenty of it in there. So you've got, in different variations of my show. I mean, the needles following.
So we got Andre on here.
Ooh. I feel special right now. Hello, sir. I love those cards.
I know. I got a few up there.
That's going to distract me. But like for me, like, it's got to, the needle swallowing is always there, but between that, there's been, the various versions of the roulette that I've done between the staple guns, the nails and spikes and all that stuff. The hook thing, it's not there to shock people, even though sometimes there's blood, even though sometimes there's, the gore factor, there's, the needle through arm and things like that. There's always a context to it. It's
Yeah.
very easy to stand up on stage and be, pound the nail into my nose and just do it and be done with it. But there has to be a reason, because
Yeah.
otherwise,
Why
if
did
there's
you?
no reason, it's like watching a horror movie. If there's no story and it's just blood, 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 like, are you watching a film or are you watching torture? So I think that my show is able to exist in the, like, kind of in the world that it does, because I'm telling a story that supplements why there's blood or why there's needles going through my skin. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's I don't like lowest common denominator entertainment, and so I try to do the show that I want to see when I go out. I don't want to see um, I don't want to see certain things. Like, my friend sort of got me to watch. I started watching Doctor Sleep last night, the
Oh,
Stephen King movie,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm like,
Like it?
I'm like, all right. So I'm getting into it, and I'm like, hey, it's cool. And the next thing you know, they're killing a kid, and I'm like, I just don't want to see that anymore. Like, I'm not in an age where I want to see that kind of stuff. So I don't want to. And
But do you like
believe
The
me,
Shining?
oh, I love The Shining.
But interesting about The Shining, it's very kind of random though too. I mean, it's
Yeah, but it's I don't know, something about the
because
way
I
the
think
scene.
I love both of them honestly. I really like Doctor Sleep too, and I thought Doctor Sleep actually put more sense behind The Shining because The Shining didn't really have it was more artistic, you know.
Well, The Shining, we have to understand too, is, it's, not to get film nerdy, but the Shining as a film exists on a completely different level than The Shining the book, because it's too complete. Like,
Right, right, right.
it's not even close. It's
No,
like,
no.
it's an intellectual comparison, but it's not a
Yeah, and
direct, like,
that
the
actually
Stevie the.
question I wanted to say too earlier about so storytelling. I mean, I think I'm coming to the point where, and I think you're agreeing. Do you think about the story you tell from your perspective, or do you want to say the story to make sure that they understand it? And does it matter to you that they understand it, or do you want to just do the story that you want to create and tell, whether they have their own understanding of it or not?
No, I mean, if it's a first person story, which I tend to tell more than third persons, although that's kind of changing too at times.
Yeah, yeah.
But it depends. It really depends. But I think I make that point pretty clear from the get go about what the story's about. But I try to at least kind of hook it into something emotional where it doesn't matter. I want the people to care about the actions and the movement, whereas, it
Right, yeah,
doesn't
that's
matter
what
if
I
it's
was
me or
saying. Like,
not. You know.
do you really care if they don't quite understand it, and maybe they have their
No,
own maybe perspective on it or perception on what your story is? Because everyone has
it
their own perspective on whatever you're talking about, anyways.
yeah, it could be. I mean, anything in the general sense, people are going to do that anyway. People will interpret. It's like interpreting a poem. It's like, you can interpret abstracts in various ways. Where if I'm up there saying this, and this happened to me, maybe they're picturing it. I don't know. I've never asked anybody, but maybe they're picturing it, actually happening to me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but
and I
it's,
think that's a good thing to know how to filter out. I mean, many beginners will continually say all the things they're doing and what they have. Like, here I've got to take a cards. Here I've got this. There's this. These, or and it's just labeling everything.
yeah, yeah.
But
Now,
that's too much.
yeah.
And I
Here's
get it
my
because
deck.
maybe people don't know what to say.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's that. I was watching a video of someone actually a couple of weeks ago that I know that I've known for some years, and I'm not critiquing at all, but it was here's this deck. He's taking a card. He's signing it. He's putting it back in, and anyone with two eyes can
Yeah,
see that you're
and then
doing
I
this.
just hate when like, and then that's it. I was like,
Yeah, it is.
okay,
Oh, hi, Kitty. My friend just joined. Sorry.
what's up?
Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, there's a. I try to walk a line of not being insulting to people, but also not beating them over the head with things, right? So, like,
yeah,
there's like, I've seen plays and I've seen movies, whatever, where at the end of it you're just like, the
right.
fuck
That's
are they
good. And like you
talking
said, you
about,
don't
you know?
play to the low denominator. You want to
Yeah,
meet the, you
yeah,
want them to come see you. Like meet you up.
yeah, yeah. Like,
And
I can
I
I can
first learned that too in going to New Orleans, seeing a great busker because his name's Warpo and he's amazing. And his jokes are way up here. You got to be intellectual to even know some of them. But he's always joking. But he puts out stuff, and people are laughing, and I'm pretty sure most of the crowd doesn't even know what the real joke is because he's just
Right.
flowing with so much good storytelling and jokes in between those big intellectual moments.
Yeah.
And I like that. And I really like because I thought like, well, shouldn't you? Why say that? Because maybe most people don't even get that. He's like, well, I
Yeah.
did this for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah.
But that's good storytelling in a way, because even if like, I mean, there's a difference between being intellectually like trying to bring people up to your level or kind of coming down to somebody else's. But it's like if you can get across the stories you want to, like the points you want to make, let's say, and people kind of understand your flow, even if they don't get even if they don't get the references you're making all the time, they
Right.
can
Right.
feel when it's their time to laugh, or they'll know instinctively that this is something I should be laughing at, and they'll laugh,
Yeah, and
not out
that's
of
what I
pity,
noticed
just
too.
because it's to make them laugh.
Yeah.
So,
And I
but
definitely noticed that even watching. Yeah, Warpo Cole's the man. She knows what's up.
oh yeah, no, Warp was cool.
He's hilarious.
Alex knows her stuff. This is my friend Alex. She knows her shit. And I'm going to tell you something, like, she has saved my life in the last couple of weeks, because she called me, she texted me one day, and she's like, hey, you're not showing up in any Google searches, right? And I'm like, oh, this would explain a lot. Because I just set up my website. This is like a ignorance. I set up my website. I'm like, fuck it, people will find me. And then I just realized, like, if you Google my name, like, yeah, there's a ton of stuff. But if you're not Googling my name, it's like nothing. So she was very cool, and she helped me out the last couple of weeks. So I mean, like, I owe her everything, because I
Oh,
went from like my SEO was garbage to my SEO is like a better smelling garbage, I guess. I don't know,
that's
but we'll
good.
get
It's good
there.
to have friends like that.
Oh my God,
We're
it's
here to
been
help each other.
I've lost more time. That's the thing too, is that like I was right in the middle of all this work stuff and working on material and writing, and then I just like stopped everything for 4 or 5 days and was just like nitpicking everything in my website. And if I can tell you, like, even just these few weeks, just seeing the difference in what's now I'm like motivated to get more and more done, but it's just a huge difference. So that's my advice for today. If you don't know what kind of digital footprint you're making, go investigate, because it could be the difference between uh, you know nothing and everything. And it sucks because right now there's no barometer to even test my theory or these theories, because nobody's working.
Yeah, right.
If this
Nobody
happened
can
three
do anything
months
right now
ago,
about it.
if she had come into my life like 3 or 4 months ago, I'd probably have a better idea. But it's all right. When it comes back, I have no intention of like waiting for it once we were able to get back into the world without being pepper sprayed to get too close. The minute they say we can get out, I'm out in the world, man. I'm running out there,
I know,
because
same
I've
here.
got way too much.
I'm sure
I
a lot
was
of us, a lot of us magicians were like, because I was at that moment. I always tell people before this quarantine, I was in the practice moment, like practicing at home, practicing in front of the mirror, getting ready to now go out and practice and perform for real people. And I'm like, damn it, now I can't do the work I want to do.
Yeah,
So I was really
it
excited
drives
to
me
do this
nuts.
like new material that I haven't really performed for real people. But I'm like, now I gotta wait, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's driving me nuts too, because a lot of the stuff that I've been playing with, it's kind of dependent on people.
Yeah, a lot.
Um,
I mean, magic definitely. I mean, it's taken a whole different route around this past month, and I mean, yeah. Now you're seeing all these live streams and all these online
yeah,
stuff or video format, and people are tackling that big time.
yeah. I
And
was trying,
that's cool. I know some people are kind of like, it breaks away. I mean, I saw I saw Saturday Night Live, and it was just terrible because they're all doing this, and it just didn't. It missed the connection, and the realness of it.
yeah,
It was awkward.
yeah. It's tough, like I said, the minute this happened, I had all every intention of, doing this kind of thing myself, and getting, I still kind of think I might, but I just feel like everyone's doing it. And then I was like, well, there's got to be stuff you can do for people. And then like the Blaine special was on. I'm like, well, everyone's gonna be doing that now. So
Yeah.
I have ideas. I don't want to say the ideas out loud, because God forbid it's too good and people are like, hey, that's a good idea, and they're not running and doing it. It's, I have very weird opinions about online magic. Like for me, it's, I'm an old school person. Like I want, I want to continue magic in a performance live venue
Yeah.
situation, because I feel like it's a better thing. But
I mean, this is definitely one
I
of those art
think,
forms. It should be
yeah,
live.
yeah.
We all agree.
But I think there's a huge difference between like doing magic in front of a camera and doing magic to a camera, right? And
Yeah.
I have like one thing that I actually think I'm going to put out that it was like I just needed to kind of get break some steam kind of thing, and I might just throw it out there. I've just been editing it forever, but again, it's just like I don't want to get in that habit of being one of those guys, because I'm not knocking anybody. I mean, there's a lot of really cool guys doing a lot of really great magic on Instagram and on YouTube that are just working with a camera. And I hope that they know what it's like to perform in front of a live audience because
Same, yeah, same. I mean,
because
luckily,
that's the
you
thing.
know, one of my favorite guys I've been seeing putting a lot of great video stuff is Xavier Mortimer. I mean, that guy's show in
Oh
real
yeah,
life is
yeah,
amazing. You know, I've seen him in real
yeah,
life just doing close-up stuff, amazing. And then you see his videos, amazing. So it's all going hand to hand. It's not like because there's a lot of guys that are just strictly video, and then you see
yeah.
a person and you see them do like a double lift, and it's just terrible, and you're like, what?
What? Yeah, that's the thing too. Is like and some people you have that
But
don't know
yeah, I
how to
think you
work.
should be good at least live with something, you know?
Yeah, and also too, it's like people don't understand blocking, so they just think like setting up a camera
Right.
and then just doing magic to it, and then all of a sudden, like they're doing something, and they kind of come over here for a second, you still have to understand, who you're performing for too. And the good thing about video is being able to edit. Like if it's one thing that drives me nuts, because I'm a huge crazy person, is when you see somebody put out a video and you get this thing, like okay guys, and then they're doing this, and then they're doing this, they're looking down here, and they're edit that out, man. It looks terrible,
Right,
you
right,
know.
right.
And if you ever catch me doing that, it's either I'm really lazy or I'm doing it sarcastically. Because I'm way too nuts to let something like that go out there. Because I'm always like, people are gonna think I'm an ass, and I
And
just don't want to.
I kind of used to be the same way, and then but like I'll go the lazy route. I'm like, whatever, you know, like I'll
Yeah,
just.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Because I'll be like
definitely,
this.
I'll at least cut that out. I mean, especially if you're
Yeah,
posting something on Instagram, you could trim it too. Like that's the one thing I don't get. Like they put a video up and you see them go and it
yeah.
goes up, but whatever. I guess they just don't care.
That's fine, and that's all well and good. It's my things versus anybody else's things are just
Right, right.
that's just speaking for me. So I don't know.
No,
Um,
that's it's good. That's why we're
but
here to learn about our different
Yeah,
opinions.
yeah, yeah.
What
I
we
just,
think.
I said, like, I don't want to get in the habits of doing things. Like, for me, like, if I'm putting stuff out, it's not going to be, I have to make it look kind of like, more cinematic, I guess is the word I would use. Like, I don't want it to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So, like, I'm gonna,
you have your set boundaries and what you want, what you expect, and you want to work
yeah,
with
yeah.
boundaries.
Because
So
it's
that's
got to,
good.
because it's got to speak to the brand too, right? So, like, if people like
Yeah,
know a certain thing, and then all of a sudden you start doing certain thing, like, again, you're looking at the difference between uh, surviving and pandering, right?
right.
So like, I don't like people that there's like this like diametric shift like so quickly. And you're like, it's like you could feel it go past your face, right? So
Yeah,
it's like you kind of got to ease into it, And even it's weird for me too because I mean I have a film background, I have a radio background, and every day I'm like I should get on Instagram Live and do something, and I'm like self-conscious, like I almost hear what I have to say. So I kind of have to get past that. So it's weird because I need human connection, and
yeah.
going
No,
to the
no,
group.
that's why I'm stoked about this because slightly smoking. Even we took a big break from it, and we like for a year or two, I think.
Yeah,
We
is
like what was it? Maybe 4 years ago we started it up, and then we just had it going for like a year or two, and then now we're like, all right, now we have all this time again. Let's get it
yeah.
going.
Is Jordan still with you doing this
And
or?
Jordan, yeah,
All right.
Jordan Grohl is still with me, and he's the one that got me back on it because he's the one. Hey, why don't we do this? Because he
Yeah.
noticed I was like wanting to do something as well, and I kind of I haven't this month I've been just busy, really kind of babysitting and taking care of family. So now
Yeah.
this week is like the beginning week where now I can do some more work for myself, and like I'm
Yeah.
luckily I've been able to do this like for an hour each day. I know we're down to like 1 minute. It's gonna cut us off at
Oh,
something
okay.
right here. But no, this has been such a blessing to spend time with magicians all around the world, reconnecting with you again, and keeping this strong. Keeping this bond going.
Yeah.
Uh, it's
It's
like a
been
good way to
wonderful.
check in. That's what I
Yeah.
love about this. Because
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's been.
this brotherhood, sisterhood, what do you want? Community of magicians. It's family. We really are close in a way. Like we could be so different people, but the magic just brings us so close. Like I have tons of friends. Like I would never hang out with you, but because you do magic, like we're best friends. And I love that.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And, I guess I'm just gonna cut off in 20 seconds. I just want to
All
say
right.
thank you for stopping by, spending your time,
Thank you for
sharing your
having me. Good to
wisdom.
see you.
Had a
Yeah.
great time, and thank you guys for listening in, tuning in. Check us out, Slightly Smoking. We're doing a lot of different new things. I'm creating some new designs. Jordan's put a lot of great work, and we hope to see you guys soon. Thank you again, Mike. Check out
Thanks
Mike
for having me, Zach.
Polino.